Okay, good evening. We are debating tonight the second round, slot 3 bis. We have on the prop side Marinetti debate from Piemonte, and on the op side these dialectics from Liguria. So I welcome all the debaters and of course my fellow judges, and I please let the debaters introduce themselves. So let's go on the prop side. Please tell us your name and all the obvious speeches.
Alessandro Ferraro, first speaker.
Thank you.
Pop Theodore, second speaker and replica.
Okay, thank you.
Mujanu, third speaker.
Thank you. Let's go on the op side.
Sophie Varga, speaker 1.
Sophie Bisso, speaker 2, and replica.
Sara Gorrino, speaker 3.
So thank you very much. Asking to my fellow judges to introduce themselves.
Giovanna Falcone, panelist in this debate.
Good evening to anyone. My name is Marco, and I'll be the other judge for this debate. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So if you are ready, I just read the motion and then we can start. So this house prefers a world with no belief in the afterlife. And if you are ready, Miss Giovanna Falcone is going to help me with the timekeeping because my bell is not, I don't know what's happening in my computer. It's not possible for me to keep the time, so Giovanna is helping me in this. Let's just check if you can hear the bell. I think so. It was really...
Yes.
Yeah, so...
I've already tried. Okay, it's okay.
Okay. You can go, please tell 3, 2, 1 before starting, so she can keep the time with you. And good luck. Have a nice debate. So please, Alessandro, it's your time to take the stand and let's go.
1 second, please. Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So good evening, everyone. Today the House states that we should live in a world with no belief in the afterlife. So the concept of afterlife is a very extended concept, but today we are going to analyze it through a scientific and a philosophical, moralistical way. We could, for example, put all us together into a science experiment, and we could say with that we are inside a world where no one believes in afterlife, and there are a group of scientists that are going to work on this experiment. We are going to have a concrete final where everybody is going to, as I said before, state that the afterlife is a non significant thing in our life. So we could say that we can simply live our life free without the necessity to think about an afterlife and what is going to happen to us and to our soul when we are going to die. We don't have either concrete proofs about this topic, not even in a scientific way and not even under a religious point of view, because it's like saying, as a mathematician is trying to solve a formula without some mathematical base, and so it's no sense. Today, we are going to talk about the realism of the afterlife, as my second speaker will clarify later. And we are going to talk about how death is the only certain thing in a human life. We don't need necessarily to think about what is going to happen after, as I said before. Because we don't know what comes after death, but we know that it will come, and it's equal for everybody, it's equal for all. And so we need to concentrate on this topic, and we need also to be aware that under a religious point of view and under a scientific point of view, we simply can say that we don't need to explain everything that happens in our life. So we are humans that are able to explain themselves through a critical thinking, and we can, for example, explain why the rain falls from up to down and not the opposite way, but is impossible for us now, in the past, and also in the future, to figure out what we are going to expect in the afterlife. So I think that we should stay in our reality. We should keep going and live our life without worrying about what is going to happen. And this also is a very nice way to connect us through the thought of fear. Lots of humans also in the past, in the medieval era, they were scared of death. And through the religion, they were forced to think in that way. But for example, thanks to other philosophers that were able to detach from this point of view, they were able, through their critical thinking, to thought also of what if in there isn't an afterlife, and we simply can live without any restriction, or without needing to think of what is going to happen. We have also a religious base that is not connected to our moral. That is something that the second speaker will clarify later. And so I think that everything has an end, and we need to find our space in this reality without worrying about the things that will happen in the future. And so we simply don't need to figure out a way to guarantee the immortality of our soul in another way. For example, by finding a way to stay safe and to face this fear of death, just by thinking of something that we can't prove, that we aren't able to prove, not through science and not even through religion. Yeah, this is it. Thank you.
6 minutes 32.
Thank you. Sophie, whenever you want, it's time for you to take the floor.
Okay, just 1 second. Okay, I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. My name is Sophie Rebecca Varga, and I'm here today to talk about why this house believes in a world where religion is and belief in the afterlife is present. First, I would like to refute the motion of the previous speaker, as he stated that this is a scientific and philosophic point of view, with which I would argue, because religion and beliefs are more than just science, and that's exactly its point, because it doesn't necessarily need to be reality for us to believe in it, as it is essentially a human belief, and humans have the right to choose whatever they believe in. And this is also a reason why religion actually is more than just what is reality, because it gives us a different worldview. It is more than just reality. It has morals, it has dignity, it has human essence to it, essentially. And as the previous speaker has stated, that we have to focus on reality. But when have humans ever focused on reality? We have books and we daydream all the time. We think of the future and we still worry. So essentially, religion is not the only thing that isn't reality, but why should everything that is not reality other than religion be accepted when religion is not? And also, if we worry about what is going to happen because we believe in the afterlife, that's what the previous speaker has stated, then how is that even possible? Because a lot of people who believe in the afterlife are actually proven to be more stress-free, which I will talk about in my arguments. And we do not have to worry about what will happen, because if we believe in a higher entity, then we essentially believe that the higher entity will help us solve our problems and ease our anxiety and essentially make everything better, so that we have no things to worry about or have our minds wandering about. Then I would like to begin my argument and present my theme line, which is essentially how beliefs can give us mental health benefits such as hope, morality, and meaning beyond materialism. The last two arguments will be presented by Speaker 2, Sophie Bissot, and I will present the argument of hope and comfort by our beliefs. The first thing I would like to talk about is how mental health is benefited by us having beliefs. Essentially, people have lots of anxiety, and mental health is really present today in our society, leading us to basically think more about essentially what is going on in our minds. And religion is also a way of this, because religion is a belief rooted in our minds, and essentially it is proven to help us ease our anxiety, as I have mentioned earlier, by believing in entities that will solve our problems, help our problems, and we essentially have a person to turn to. We can pray, we can rely on someone and have a sense of belonging to someone and something, and in a community where basically people who suffer from loneliness and lots of traumas can rely on someone, even if they do not have loved ones next to each other. And this leads to my next point, which is the coping about the loss of loved ones. Because if a person loses someone that is really important in their life, they are essentially heartbroken. They face a lot of mental problems, and believing in the afterlife may help solve these problems and essentially create a peace in their mind. And also,
I have a POI.
yes.
You just talked about religious communities and how being in a community really helps out with loneliness and stuff. But isn't that true that also said communities often judge the people in it because they don't follow certain beliefs? If we talk about like Jehovah's Witnesses, once you're not in the circle, in the cult anymore, uh, they cut you off. Can you explain that?
Well, essentially, religious beliefs are about accepting everyone and about basically spreading love and loving our neighbors. So basically, people that deny these and deny community and love to others are essentially denying their own ideologies, and therefore it's not an effective strategy, but actual belief systems actually accept other people and tolerate other people. And even if someone has these beliefs, they may say these things to others, but a sense of community can be created either way, because essentially, if even if they don't accept other people, they still have their own community. And if they accept other people, then that's even better, because they create a bigger community for everyone to belong into. But what I was talking about wasn't essentially about communities. It was more about the fact that a person can be completely alone. They can be completely alone and not have anyone to rely on. So they turn to these higher entities to whom they can talk about their problems, talk about their fears, and essentially, even if they do not have anyone in their life, they can have a sense of belonging. Also, back to my point, these things ease our anxiety, because if we constantly worry about what is going to happen in our life, then we basically turn to a different mindset and a different point of view that essentially is something that doesn't benefit our mental health. But if we believe that someone will help us, that someone can save us, we are freed from these anxieties and from these worries and are essentially set free. Thank you.
7 minutes, 28 seconds.
Thank you, Sophie.
Okay, can I go?
Just a minute, I'm checking my
Okay.
colleagues. So if you're ready and they are ready.
Okay, I'm gonna
well,
start in 3, 2, 1. Well, based on the thing you said, I have some things I want to clarify. When you said about what my speaker once said, you really said that talking about the afterlife is not philosophic at all, while it actually is, because many philosophers really talked about the afterlife, and religion itself is a way of philosophy in how people believe in. After all, philosophies and morals are rules we follow because we think they're right, and religion is just the same. You said that a religious point of view is the reality, and it is true, but that doesn't mean that religion itself did a lot of great things. For example, like my speaker once said, in the medieval age, the church got really rich because people paid to be repented from their sins, and that doesn't constitute anything morally good. Talking about reality, you said that we have to be realist, and we have to be realist how? By accepting death itself. We believe that if no one ever wondered what happened after death, and we just accepted the way it is, so at a certain point of our lives we die and there's nothing we can do, a lot of the things that happened in history would be different, because religion itself would be different. When religion religion first started. It was created to explain physics phenomenon such as why does it rain, why is the sun warm, and stuff like that. And after a certain point, they started to ask themselves the famous question about existence. So how I got here, why am I here, and what comes after. And if these questions, especially one about afterlife, wouldn't have been made, certainly religion would have a moral based history, and for example, books and poetries and all the history and stuff that has to do with religion would be changed, as the Bible itself, if we take for example the Christian religion.
PI.
So yeah.
If accepting death means ignoring hope, meaning the arguments we brought, then why should realism make life less worthing?
It would make life less worrying, because by accepting what really happens, we're not saying that we just have to accept death. We don't have to be sad because someone died. We just believe that thinking what would come after in a world we don't know, and without focusing entirely on our life, so focusing on too much about what comes after, it's not really good for the person. Especially talking about mental health, speaker number one talked a lot about how religion really helps mental health and stuff. But if we think about how much religion and cults and religious communities really put pressure on people, if we think about all the prejudice about the religious people have against a certain type of person, how many, and not everyone, I want to specify, thinks that their religion is the best because it's their religion, really puts pressure on people. In many countries, the religion is forced, so people don't see it as a way of escaping, as a way of having hope, but they see it as a way for being forced to believe and to do things they don't want to do. So
PI.
yeah.
So, do you believe that cults putting pressure on people is causing mental health problems?
Well, yes, of course. Putting pressure, and in this type of pressure, I mean religious, or forcing religion where unfortunately it happens often, puts pressure on people, and it's not good for mental health, because a religion is not seen as something personal anymore, but as something you have to do to be part of something, to be part of a community. That's what we as a team think. Um, and like I said, I said, and speaker number one introduced, in this case, thinking about afterlife doesn't let you focus on your life. For example, many things that their action are good because they're like, oh, if I'm good in this life, then I'll go to heaven. If we take, for example, the Christian religion, while if we wouldn't have that, because no one would think about the afterlife, people would have morals because they want to have a good life. They would not use religion as I'm just gonna finish what I have to say and I will answer. People wouldn't use religion as reasons to do on wars, to take on wars, to have so much prejudice on people. They wouldn't use this thing has a reason to go against other people. Just because you're different from me, then I get to say what's correct because it's my religion and because that's what I think. And we really see it happen a lot. You can do your POI now.
Okay, thank you. So you said that religion, like the life afterlife, is not helpful as we think about being good in this life to be better in the other lives. So it puts a lot of pressure. But isn't it the same with death? So having to be good in this life because then we don't have another life to have other opportunities.
Well, in this case, we wouldn't, for the simple fact that if we don't think about an afterlife, because we're used to say that death is something that comes natural, we wouldn't think to be better because then we die and there's something else. We would personally and how my team thinks, people would be good just because they want to be good, not because they have an afterlife and they have to get into heaven or something like that. To be better because I'm going to be better later. That's what I mean with putting pressure to constantly be like, I have to be like this to get a good afterlife. Well, people could just have their own life, live it their own way with their own beliefs, and just be happy like that. That's it for me. Thank you a lot for listening.
7:22.
Thank you. So, Sophie Bisso, it's your turn to take the floor. Please, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. My speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to express my opinions here today. I am Sophie Bisso, and I'm the second speaker of the Against team. And together with Sophie Varga and Sara Gorrino, I am standing against the motion previously introduced by our first speaker. So as the second speaker, my role is to not only refute the points, but also analyze our theme's thesis and explain why we firmly believe that this house should prefer a world with belief in the afterlife, because a world like this provides moral guidance and a deeper meaning to human life. I will begin my debate by refuting some aspects of the arguments presented by the opposition team. So across the debate, we came across like a few interesting points. As Sophie Varga, the first speaker of the team, previously stated, the speech of the first speaker of the pro team was mainly focused on the idea that we live in a world that does not believe in the afterlife. This is factually incorrect. Across cultures and religions, billions of people hold belief in some form of afterlife, wherever lots of different types of religion, and the world is diverse, not uniform for this reason. Another point was that there was a lot of discussion on having a concrete religion. There was also part of the discussion. Yes, is this people? I saw someone.
Yeah,
put their
sorry.
hand.
This is Guy.
Okay.
So my
Yeah?
question is, you said that this word does necessarily have a belief, but the question is, it's not necessarily, so it is an hypothetical if it is better or not. So it's not whether it is or not.
Well, our team, of course, believes that it is not like it is better to live in a world like that does not believe in the afterlife. And so there was another part of the discussion on concrete proofs. There was a part also on like religion not seen as like not like maths, for example, who did not like, for example, religion not having a solution. And the motion, we believe, is not about scientific proof. That's not answering the motion, but it's rather about the social and moral impact of belief. In the last part of the speech of Speaker One, there was also a part focusing on afterlife that caused fear. On the contrary, we as a team believe that in the afterlife, believing in the afterlife, you actually have the contrary effect. So you remove fear, because it's as if in certain religions, for example, believing in the afterlife can be reassuring for people, as it means that suffering, for example, is not, mental health problems are not meaningless, as justice might prevail also in the afterlife. So afterlife brings comfort and not terror. Speaker 2 instead stated there was a lot of discussion on religious points of view that cannot guide us, and that religions are not morally good. We believe that for years religions have shaped our laws and values worldwide. Of course, some laws might have been misused at times, but belief in the afterlife tends to have quite the opposite effect and tends to inspire compassion and responsibility. We should also focus on what there was another point which was about we should not focus on what comes after. We believe that this is the opposite. In fact, this does not lead to mental health problems because belief in the afterlife often reduces the fear of death, and as I said it before, brings usually hope and resilience and comfort to many people. Having concluded my refutation, I would now like to present my line of argumentation. My two arguments are moral guidance and responsibility and meaning beyond materialism. So our first argument, I will now start with my first argument. So belief in the afterlife has come across many centuries and cultures as something has kind of provided humanity with a framework of justice that goes beyond the limits of human law. In fact, people tend to act ethically not because of social rules, but because they believe their actions can have eternal consequences. This belief tends to discourage cruelty and instead encourages virtue because people trust that kindness and honesty will then be rewarded in an afterlife. Of course, we do not claim. Yes.
I have a POI.
Yes.
Does this rule about virtue also applies if it was morally good in religions to, for example, do something against the human law?
I didn't understand the question. Can you repeat?
Yeah, I basically asked, does this thing about being religious brings virtue also applies if the virtue of the religion itself would also allow something that is morally and legally legal based on human law?
Well, of course, we do not believe that afterlife can replace wars. Laws are fundamental to society. But whilst laws can punish crime, they cannot reach the conscience in the same way that the idea of the prospect of having an afterlife does. Because laws depend a lot on enforcement, and enforcement is not always perfect. Belief in the afterlife assures that justice is not only a human construct, but a principle that applies to everyone. Passing on to the third argument of the debate, meaning beyond materialism, belief in the afterlife has given humanity a sense of meaning that goes beyond the material gain. Across traditions, people have believed that life continues after death, whether through reincarnation or different types of religion. This belief encouraged them to live not only for themselves but also for something superior that they believe. Without the afterlife, life could risk being reduced to temporary pleasures or short-term success. Of course, people can find meaning in other places, but belief in the afterlife strengthens this meaning. In conclusion, to conclude, belief in the afterlife is essential for both justice and meaning, as it strengthens responsibility, reminding us all that our actions matter even when no one is watching. Thank you.
8:18.
Thank you. Geno, it's your time to take the floor. Whenever you're ready, you can go.
All right. I take a second to read, and I will start my speech now. So, first of all, I would like to reboot what the last speaker of the other team said. You talked and repeated about anxiety and said the belief of an afterlife helps you relieve anxiety. And as my other teammate said, the second speaker said the opposite, so that it is caused by that. Wait, is my microphone on? Right, that anxiety is caused by the belief of an afterlife, especially in religion. And also there is pressure, as we said, and you not and try to deny that, but to take back religion, it is usually used as an excuse. And although it can symbolize hope for somebody, for example, heaven, there's also hell, which does put pressure on people, because of course it does. People are scared if they actually do believe in that. But I think that we believe that if the world was to have no belief in the afterlife, it would be better, because it would bring people to focus on real life and not of ifs and not of what would happen after. And you said that religion and having these beliefs makes you behave better, but because your action would have a consequence after life. But actions do have consequences in the real world, and we shouldn't live for what might happen after, which isn't even sure. We should live for what we are doing now, because we are now alive. And as my other teammate said, the first speaker, the only thing we are sure of in life as soon as we are born is that we're going to die one day. And that's the only thing that is for sure. And we shouldn't take that something scary, because we are scared, of course, but it shouldn't be like that, because that fear, we should change it and make it something else, like in really living life. Because if we focus on what might happen after, like you said, we live in imagination, we dream, not you, but the other speaker said, we do that because we don't know, but it's a way to live life. It's another way to live life, and we should do that. Because if we worry for what might happen after, we lose the moment, and then it's gone, and we don't know what to do after that, because there is no after. Take, for example, tea. You drank tea, okay, and it's done, and that is it. There is nothing after. You finish your tea, and that's it. You don't worry what might happen after to the tea, because it is done. But this isn't actually about tea. This is life, and you shouldn't worry when it's about when it is done, because if you worry too much, but after, you're losing the moment. And it should bring people to do good actions, to feel good, because you shouldn't focus on other things. I mean, yeah, of course, we do tend to do that, and it's natural, okay? But as we said, as I said, we should be realistic, because it's not sure if there is an afterlife or not. So it would be better if we don't think about it and we think of what is sure, which is life. Right. So if you are now living, why worry of something you're not even sure of? Like, some people might worry about aliens, and people call them stupid, of course, because they're not here. So why worry about something that isn't even here? So you should just accept the fact that something comes to an end, because that is what life is about. That's what everything is about. Everything comes to an end, and shouldn't be scary, because that's just how it works, how everything works. Nothing lives forever, and that's just something that needs to be accepted. And as the example of the tea, it's just everything in everyday life. It is about just everything and everyone. Just because we can have a critical thinking and an imagination of what might happen after doesn't justify actions or losing the moment because of fear. Like, just taking back religion, people think that if they do bad actions and then they repent, then that's okay because they're repentant and then they're going to be good. They're going to live another life, they're going to heaven because they're repentant, and all that they've done means nothing because there's something after, right? No, you shouldn't think about after. You should think about what you're doing, what you've done, because that's what life is. Life is what you're doing. Life is what you've done. What you've done. So if you think about after, you're not doing anything right now. So life loses its meaning because you're focusing on that. You're focusing on death, which is sure. So why worry about something that is sure? So it doesn't really make sense, and it would be better if nobody worried about it because it is sure. Everything comes to an end, as I've already said multiple times. So there is no reason to think our brains out of it. We should just be realistic and not bring any excuse to not live the moment or to oppress people because, I believe that this happens, I believe that that happens, I believe that this life is precious because we're living it right now. That is something sure. That is something we are all sure of because we're living it right now. And we're also sure of death. We're not sure of something, then why worry about it? So just focus on what you are sure of. Don't worry about what isn't. And I think that is why a word without a belief in no afterlife would be absolutely better than a word with the belief of an afterlife. Because there would be less anxiety, less worries, and people would just focus on their life. Because that's what it is. It is life, and you're living it. And if you worry about something else, you're not really living it. So that's what I think. I think it is protected time. Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Thank you. So, as I said, we should bring the focus back to life, what we are sure of and not what we're unsure of. So, that is why a word with no belief of the afterlife would be better. Thank you.
743.
Thank you. Sarah, it's your time to take the floor. Whenever you are ready, you can start.
Hi, everybody. My speech is going to start in 3, 2, 1. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Sara Gorrino, and I'm the third speaker for the Against team. As a third speaker of the opposition, I'm here to show you why we firmly believe that life in the afterlife is not better, but stronger, kind, and more resilient in 2 different ways. First of all, I'm going to refute everything that has been said by the pro team and we do not believe is true. And second of all, I'm going to repeat and clarify the points that Sophie Varga and Sophie Bisto brought throughout the debate. So starting from the refutations, I would like to start by what the first speaker of the pro team said. First of all, he made a stance that we live in a world that does not believe in the afterlife. As Sophie Bisto said, this is demonstrably false. This is because billions of people across the world and every major religion believe in some form of afterlife. Some are reincarnation, some are eternal reward, and some are ancestral guidance, and much more. So the world is far from a secular or uniform belief. Moreover, you said that we cannot have concrete proofs in religion, which might seem true at first sight, but this argument misunderstands the motion. This is because the debate is not about empirical validation and verification, but it's more about the practical, social, and moral effects and what we could do, what society would be better. This is why we believe that society population that believes in afterlife would have a better psychological factor, psychological view of themselves and the others, and which can help. And afterlife is not a false myth. It's about a way, psychological way to help humans in the course of their life. Moreover, you repeated, all three speakers repeated throughout the debate more and more times that we do not have to worry about the future, that future is not something that we have to worry about. We have to think about our life now, which on one side is true, but we believe that ignoring the future is reckless. This is because belief in the afterlife encourages people to consider the consequences of their actions. So you think about the future, but you're trying to live your best life right now. This does not mean that humans will stop thinking about death. In this precise moment where we have population mixing between mixing people that believe and that do not believe in afterlife, that does not mean that the people that do not believe in afterlife do not think about their future and their death. This is one of the main fears that we encounter when we meet a person. We talk about fears. So that wouldn't be one positive side of your side of the question. Moreover, still speaker one talked about the fact that afterlife causes fear, as we have proven more and more times. Also speaker two and speaker three talked about it of the pro team. We state that on the contrary, belief in afterlife often can alleviate fear, that can help us. This is because it offers comfort, and as I said, death is one of the most common fears, and belief in the afterlife, it offers comfort that suffering is not meaningless, and that shows more justice. So if you're having a good life, you're being a good person in this life, you should not be scared. If you're not being a good person, you should not only be scared because then in your next life you're not going to have good possibilities, but you will be scared because you're not being a good person. That happens also for people who do not believe in afterlife. I will now pass on to the second speaker, who said that religious points of view cannot guide us. We believe that while abuses exist, religion has historically shaped ethical frameworks, social norms, as Sophie talked about laws in her speech. This means that belief in the afterlife motivates moral behavior, which comprehends also and includes altruism, social cohesion, and much more within the society. So that's why we believe that a person who believes in afterlife would interact better with people who believe or not in afterlife. Moreover, another thing you said that we do not fully agree with is the fact that if no one wondered what happened after death, history would be different. So realism makes life less meaningful. That was your answer to the POI for the second speaker, and I would like, as I did the POI, to answer to that. I believe that curiosity about the afterlife has enriched the human civilization. And this can be proven through history and the inspiration of the arts, philosophy, literature, and much more. So it does not limit life, but it adds profound meaning to life. Moreover, we believe that Speaker 3 often repeated, as long as Speaker 2 repeated, the fact that we should not focus on what comes after life, because that could lead to negative impacts for mental health. That was the argument for our first speaker, but I will be repeating the fact that we believe that it's the opposite, and evidences can prove what we're saying. This is because believing the afterlife reduces the anxiety, pressure, and it mitigates also fear of death, which, as I said multiple times, is the biggest fear, and it provides hope and emotional support in times of suffering. So that's why we believe that I asked the POI to understand what you believed about it. Moreover, to conclude the refutations for the second speaker, you said that religious cults, the various religious cults often put pressure on everyone and cause mental health problems. As we said, extremist groups are exceptions, they're not the rule. So religious beliefs and like the most of the religious population believes the contrary, so that's we would not consider that. And moreover, you talked about the fact that the only thing you repeated twice, both speaker 1 and speaker 3, the fact that the only sure thing about life is that we're going to die. We're born with this idea, but the fact that death is certain does not for sure mean that it should define how we live our lives or how how we make choices. Certainly, that is true. We know we're going to die. We do not know if there is an afterlife about after, but that should not shape how we're living our lives now. In conclusion, I would like to repeat the 3 arguments of my team. Hope and comfort for speaker 1, moral guidance and accountability for speaker 2, and meaning beyond materialism. If you put these 3 arguments together, the conclusion is obvious. A world with believing the afterlife is a world with a deeper hope, deeper morality, and richer meaning. Thank you.
8:22.
Thank you, Sarah. It's time for reply speeches. And Sophie, it's your time to take the floor.
My speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good evening, everyone. I returned to speak in order to conclude my team thesis and the debate, very interesting debate we have engaged into today. It has been a very stimulating discussion, and I thank you all for your interventions and for your attention. So this interesting debate has revolved around 3 main controversies. The first concerns the role of religion and belief in guiding morality. So the opposition team stated that religion cannot guide us as it is not morally good. We believe that this is an oversimplification because across cultures, belief in the afterlife has provided moral frameworks that shaped values. Yet, of course, even if they have in some cases been misused, as we stated before, the broader role of belief has inspired in many cases compassion, justice, and responsibility. On this aspect, we have sought to demonstrate with clear arguments why our position remains solid. And the second main controversy concerns the meaning of life and history in society. So the opposition claimed that if no one even wondered about the afterlife, history would be different. It would be more realistic, and this realism would make life more worth living. We disagree because we believe that even though definitely religion has changed life, death has, we believe death has enriched society, because afterlife has given people the strength to endure hardship and act with dignity. The opposition also raised interesting objections, but we maintain that our evidence supporting the thesis offers a more complete and convincing perspective. In conclusion, like, the first main point of the debate was on the impact of mental health. So the opposition suggested that focusing on the afterlife could be, in some extreme cases, also harmful, and there was a lot of focus on the on religious cults that create pressure. Even though they indeed exist, these extremist groups are not the same as religion and belief itself, which is the focus of our debate. Across traditions, belief in the afterlife has brought comfort and reduced the fear of death, doing quite the contrary of what the opposition team has stated. Ultimately, this debate has brought out diverse perspectives, all very interesting, but we remain convinced that our position is well funded and deserves consideration. As belief in the afterlife strengthens responsibility and provides a meaning beyond material gain. However, what we believe matters the most is continue to ask questions and think about this, which is exactly what we are doing in this debate. And thanks you once again, everyone, for your attention. Thank you.
357.
Thank you, Sophia.
Okay, I'm gonna begin in
Yeah,
3,
okay.
2, 1. Hello again, everyone. This is the replica for my team. Taking on what the other team said in their replica, we also agree there are no unique beliefs. My team believes that if we would have never thought about an afterlife, religion would have been different, and maybe many bad things related to the religion wouldn't have happened. That's what we believe in. For example, they talked before about the moral values. Many wars was started because of religion. So is this the value and the morals you're talking about? You also talked a lot about psychology and mental health. Again, you cannot expect everyone to have a positive feeling and experience with the religion, especially after many news, bad news that are related to religion, to cults and stuff like that. So even though it's true, many people think their religion is good for their soul. They really enjoy having a religious life, going into communities and have this lifestyle. Not everyone has the same experience. You late before in the third speaker, the thing that I wanted to answer about their speech is that our life goes on knowing about survival, which is a natural instinct. It's normal to be curious and to think about what would happen next, but at the same time, we cannot think about what would happen in let's say 20 years if we don't even know if there's gonna be a tomorrow. And I'm talking about the fact that there are a lot of wars, there are a lot of bad things in our lives, and certainly thinking that there's an afterlife doesn't solve these. Maybe it can ease our experience here on earth, but it cannot solve the problems there are. Yes, it can alleviate the fear, but like I said, not everyone really thinks about religion with this positive aspect. So maybe many people instead are anxious because they have to think about their moral and values based on what would happen next, and they cannot decide that. So that can also scare the people. Not knowing where to go can be scary, but at the same time it can be scary to know we're going somewhere but not knowing what. In conclusion, like I said, my team believes in the realism of the things, that death shouldn't be a taboo. It should be, we should openly talk about it. Like, we should really think that it's a natural courses of actions that happens in a biological life. And just like we said, how objects have their life, their lifespan, also does biological things, and it's normal to see them die and just to accept that they're gone and stuff like that. Afterlife should be something personal, and even though it's related to religion, unfortunately religion is used to control people and to force them into doing and feeling things they don't want to, and that's not, certainly not a good thing and not a good value for a religion a person should feel safe with. That's it for my speech.
5 seconds.
Thank you, guys. So please clap your hands. It was a nice debate. You did a very great job. We will leave you for, I mean, 10, 15 minutes. So talk to the others, meet the others, and have some rest.
Salve, prof.